Hey everyone, so today I'm not doing the stream, this is just going to be pre-recorded and I'll post it later. So what are we covering today? Story production. Stories are the foundation of the program. Stories got us to where we are today. Stories production got us WTV, they got us SKTV, our YouTube channel, and so much more. So without good stories, we would not have what we have here. So the question is, how to create a good story? Well, there's a lot of different ways to make a story, but there's very few ways to make a good one. So today we're going to focus on the hardest part that can happen with a story, and which is writing it. So I'm going to go ahead and switch it over to the computer screen. Let me just get that going. There we go. So here's an old step-by-step process on how to write a story for WTV. First, you have to have an idea. Well, what's your idea? Now, we're going to give you two ideas, two different story options that you can work off of that. Okay? Then you need to run the idea by, in this case, Mr. Pickard. Now, again, we have already chosen those, and those are actually going to be a story about the signing day that happened in early February, or state wrestling that happened at the end of February. And also when you finally choose one, you have to do deeper research. What's deeper research? Well, you have to become a mini expert in what you're covering. So, let's say you were covering, let's say you were covering, well, today I'm recording this on May the 4th, so maybe you're covering the entire phenomenon that is this day. And I'm not going to say what day it is because, oddly enough, Disney has copyrighted the phrase to this day to the point that if I potentially say it, well, the video could be taken down from YouTube, and I don't want to have this video taken down from YouTube. But you would have to, let's say you did choose the particular thing associated with this day, the 4th of May, and you wanted to do a story about it. Well, you would have to be, maybe watch some material, see what people do in celebration and all that, and all to make that a story. So you need to become an expert, not a total expert, but you need to become knowledgeable in the topic you're covering, so you can take all that information and give the audience just what they need to know about the topic. Okay, make a plan. Well, this at this point is already taken care of for you, but normally making a plan, okay, you want to get footage, you want to plan out interviews, maybe there's some special graphics you want to get ready. All that is part of this plan. And now you have to go and film. Once you're done filming, you need to review your raw footage. I am providing raw footage for you for this assignment, so way to go. Next, you need to identify sound bites. Now, going back to VC1. Oops, misclicked. Going back to VC1, sound bites are small excerpts from bigger interviews. They can last as short as 3 seconds. Maybe they're a little bit longer. Sometimes they can be up to 12 if they have enough to carry it. I would note to you, as you're thinking about what sound bites you might want to use, that sound bites in general, after we see somebody's face for more than 5 seconds, we want to see something different. So you could still have a sound bite go on, but in your mind you might want to think, you know what, I want to put some extra footage on that, and we'll cover more of that here in a moment. But you should really identify what sound bites help support your story. Let's get that back. There we go. So once you have your sound bites figured out, and also avoid repetitiveness and avoid the common ones. So that we're like a family. I cannot tell you how many stories I have seen with that slogan when it's like, what do you mean you're like a family? Do you guys all get along? Do you have arguments with somebody in the up through a window? Okay, we're not going to go into my childhood right now. We're like a family is so broad, but hey, a soundbite you could use is one that we have these get along, we have these camping trips we always go on every few weeks. We hang out and help each other with homework. That's a good soundbite. It's not just a blanket statement of we're like a family. It's actually describing something that they're doing. So look for sound bites like that. Okay, and then you write your script. You have all these facts. You have the footage. You have the sound bites. Now you put it together. I can say a basic story for WTV or for Wolf Tracks can be broken down as a 5-paragraph essay. You have your introduction. You lay out some facts with some supporting sound bites. You describe what's going on. You close it up. Boom, it's done. It's not that hard. So right here, attention grabbing open. That sounds like a 5-paragraph essay. You're quoting your evidence, all that. Write in broadcast style, short sentences, one thought per sentence. We don't want run-on sentences. You want to keep it precise, exact. You can't just keep on rambling, sometimes like I do, keep rambling on about a certain fact or numbers of facts all together. There's this old phrase called keep it simple, stupid. Keep it simple because keeping it simple makes it ingestible, if you will, to those that might not be intellectually profound. Also avoid complicated words like I just used. There might be a time to use certain complicated words for unique thought or describing something that needs that word. But most of the time, you want to keep what you have in simple writing form. Now you have all that. Concludes it out. And then after you get all that, after you write out your script, you know what you got to do with it? You got to submit it to Pickard. The reason you always submit a script to, in this case, Mr. Pickard, is just to make sure that, does it flow? Is there more you can add? Is there less that you can add? What can be done with that script to make it better? Now, after you get all that done, that is the time you actually record your narration. So the narration is all that part that fills in the part where that's your story. The narration is you telling the story. Then you also have your sound bites you're going to put in, and once you have your narration, then and only then should you edit. Notice that we've done so much already, but we have not edited. Editing is only the last part when it comes to stories. Once you have everything scripted out, once you know where your sound bites are going to be, once you know all of that, that is when you edit. And with a script, editing is very, very quick. So let's take a look at an example. And this is an old example. I'm just going to go ahead and hide some things real quick. Okay, I don't want to hide all the things. Getting there. Show tabs. I'm going to edit this later just to put on something on the front. And I'm just going here, and I'm not editing this out because I don't know why. But let's go ahead and take a look at this example. This is the quilt example. So we here have a fictional club at SK called the Quilting Club. And we have some facts about the Quilting Club. So we have where it meets, the advisor. We have some facts about what they use, methods and all that. We also have a fact of something that's coming up for them. So what looks like in the SK Art Show, they're going to present, and they'll actually be raffling off a quilt. And here we describe your cover video. So about we have 5 minutes from a meeting, people sitting around. This is just describing what video you have to use. And then we also have sound bites. So these are recorded pieces from interviews, and we identify who the person is that's being interviewed and their position. We go through and identify, and we have typed out their sound bites, all of them. And from here, you can kind of go ahead and get going on visualizing in your head what the story would look like. Well, with that, we here have a sample script based on all that. And I'm going to run through this really quickly on what this sample script has. So I'm just kind of sizing this up so it's nice and legible for you. Probably zoom out just a bit. There we go. Okay. So the opening. File, so it's identifying, right here at the beginning, it's identifying what footage we're using. So it says file from the art show, which is said in the document that we have. And it says music and montage, 5 seconds. So the editor is being told right here that, hey, use this footage, make it what you want it to look like, a montage of stuff, and about 5 seconds long. Then right below, we have our narration. They come in all colors of the rainbow. And we have more file from the art show, more music, more montage. And like snowflakes, no two are alike. This is the world of quilting, perhaps a lost art in some places. Now, note, we have a change here. It says change to meeting video. So we're going from a montage of the art show, we're seeing all these different quilts, to the actual meeting of the club. But alive and well for South Kitsap students who are members of the SKHS Quilting Club. Okay, we have a break. SB, soundbite, on tape 1. So it's identifying where that footage is and where to find it and how long of a clip to use. Janet Smith says, so this right here, just ignore that part, actually. And actually, I could think of this as this right here is going to be useful if you want to put a name graphic where identify who the person is. I started this club because I used to help my grandmother make quilts when I was younger. It was such a good feeling to make a piece of art like that. Okay, so we go from seeing that person, having that sound bite, and we continue on. And when you look at these members at work, clearly this is art, but useful art that can warm a cold night or merely brighten a room. Every week, these members gather to participate, to practice their art and learn new techniques. The stereotype might be for these to be a hobby of the elderly, but it just ain't so. Then we go into more sound bites. I'm not going to read any more of this just to kind of through, but you can see what's going on here. We're identifying where stuff is, what footage to use, and we also have a nice little close. Now, what I might do here tomorrow is post this on the on Google Classroom so you can kind of get an idea of the source material and the script. Okay, so what are we working with? Well, that's a very good question. Just going to hide all that. Okay, so like I said, we have 2 stories that you could potentially write a script for. The footage has already been provided for you, as you've seen with the links in the Google Classroom assignment. Now I'm going to identify what that footage is and what we expect of it. First, we're going to start with the National Signing Day. So the National Signing Day happened back on February 5th. In fact, let me go ahead and bring up. Hey, I got facts. Oop. Let's not do that. Let's go this way. There we go. I actually have facts about that I will be posting here with this video. So as you can see, we know when and where it happened. We also know where everybody signed up to. Now, when it comes to story writing, sometimes you don't need to know everything when writing the story. Instead of saying this happened on February, I'm going to give you, this is an example of poor story writing I've seen a lot, is the opening. Back on February 5th, in the SKHS Commons, the SK athletes signed up for, no, get something more attention grabbing. So if I was writing the intro to this, the first thing I'd think is, well, I would take some time to think, what would be attention grabbing for other students? And that sometimes takes time. Sometimes you can't just come off top of it from your head. Actually, let me think. How would I make an attention grabbing open for this? So athletic signing day. Okay. Actually, there we go. In the it's the middle winter, and here at SK, students are already planning for what they're going to be this fall. Opening sentence, and it kind of gets clear. So it's the middle of winter. That's when when everything was filmed, and they're planning for where they're going to go for college. It's a little attention grabbing. It's like, okay, yeah, it's kind of cool. It's winter, and yeah, it's kind of interesting. The people, they already got their mindset all so far in the future. Sometimes less is more with story writing, and that takes time to figure that out. Avoid the super fact dump onto the viewer and your opening, because it will just make them not want to watch. Sometimes there is just sometimes there just is too much information. So you, as the scriptwriter, will be choosing what information here is used in the story. Now, with the story, I have provided footage, and as you're writing your script, here are things I want you to keep in mind. So maybe we start off, let's go ahead and actually, I'm going to go into here and actually do this. So let's say open. Wide shot of signers. And we go back to in the middle. Athletes, oops. Already. Okay, so we see that wide shot, maybe we intercut something more. I keep on adding, and then, by the way, right here, to help out the editor, I can note something. So I can go through here the footage, and maybe I want to start with that shot at 7 seconds. So here, I'm going to go ahead and note 0 shot or clip, and either way, clip at 0:07. So I'm giving a time. I am identifying the time right there where that footage lives, and this helps out the editor. And this is something that what we want you to do. So as you're writing your script, identify the time of the shot. So let's say we have a soundbite. So we're going to go soundbite at, we're going to go ahead, go back to Premiere. So I know the soundbites are at the end here. So you guys can, there looks to be a good interview right here at 3:31. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my script, if I can find it. 3:31, tab out, and then right here I can say use maybe 5 seconds. So those are the some of the types of, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom in more. $300. Come on, 300. Google Docs sometimes just not want to apply. Let's go ahead and just configure my region of interest and zoom in on that a bit more. There we go. There we go. So right here we have an open, we have that white shot, and right here I have my soundbite at what time it is. And I want to use how much, how long, or saying that helps, but I also want you to type out the entire soundbite. Yeah, I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it will really help. But that's kind of what I want you to do here as you're writing the script. And this applies to the other story. So let's just cover quickly the National Signing Day. National Signing Day, one last time, you have facts, which I will post a link for below this video. You also have the footage, which the link has been provided, and you're going to write out a script for me. You're going to write out a script for me to edit. So you're going to identify what shots, you're going to give me the narration to use, you're going to identify what sound bites to use, the flow, and maybe even give me a recommendation on the music. Remember, you have access to GMP at home. You can look at it. There's a link way down in Google Classroom on how to access that. And you're pretty much going to tell me how to make this video. And the person with the best script is the one I will use and make this video, and it will be posted on our YouTube channel. And we will also put it into a waiting episode of Wolf Tracks. Okay, so that is this National Signing Day. There's not a lot of footage here. We're expecting this video to be about, the final story we're expecting to be about 1:30 to 1:50. Things you can tell me to do. Add graphics. Maybe make a note. Find a wide shot of said college. Find logo of said college. Things like that. And I will go ahead and grab those and add them to the story. If you can write out the script well enough that somebody else can really visualize it by your writing and noting of what footage to use, it makes it that much easier for me as the editor to go ahead and create what you're telling me to. Okay, so that is that one. Now we have the wrestling story. The wrestling story, you have too much footage. I'm going to put it right out there. This story I'm expecting to be about maybe 2.5 minutes long. And you have over 2 hours worth of footage you can potentially use. Looking at it really quickly, this has a lot, if not all, of the matches that were at the state wrestling back in February. It has some cool opening shots, which are great for cover. We can see some people, some of the wrestlers getting ready. So it would have been early that morning, people warming up, and then we have many, many, many matches. And there is a lot of stuff here. And again, going back to what I said earlier, it's up to you to identify what footage I use. Now, going back to Google Docs, excuse me, I also have more facts. These are the facts for the wrestling. Now, if we take a look here, I know the Matt Classic State Tournament was held at the Tacoma Dome on February 21st and 22nd. South Kitsap placed 9th place overall in 4A with a score of 66. Chad Nass named SPSL Coach of the Year before the tournament. For those that don't know, Mr. Nass is the wrestling coach. Some matches were refereed by SKHS teacher Mike Shepard. I know he's somewhere in the footage. If you could find, maybe that's a cool little nugget you can add. Maybe you don't use it. It's up to you to identify what facts we use. Now there is, and I just had it. I'm going to go ahead and add a quick link here. Matt Classic 2020. And we're going to go to brackets. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link. So if you go to that link right there, that's actually going to give you, you can go ahead and find match by match breakdown for some of the wrestlers. I have identified them by weight class, so that should help you, and they are all 4A wrestlers. So if you wanted to go match by match for a particular wrestler, you could. You could maybe work through Xavier England's matches and say how his first match went, his second match, and so on and so forth. And as long as you give me time codes, I can, and if you can identify those matches, I can show the progression of each match. So there's an example of something you can do as well. Maybe you focus on Xavier. Maybe it's just a broader look at the team. There's no real interviews in this footage. So one thing you might be asking is, what do I do? Well, when it comes to not having interviews, use natural sound. Sometimes just that atmosphere of being there, hearing what's going on, just maybe 5 or so seconds of just raw atmosphere can help put into place of what a soundbite would be. Now, if you're really hungering for sound bites, that's not a word, but I'm going to use it anyways. If you're really looking for sound bites, one thing I could do or get later for you this week is an interview from Mr. Nass, asking him about how the tournament went, what he thought. And I could provide that as accessible footage. So for this story, you might not have sound bites. That's okay. Try to incorporate the natural sound. And again, write it as we've explained. So catch you open, work through some of the facts. If you can add some natural sound, maybe there's a soundbite in there I don't know of. Use it. You give it a nice close. Now, if there's enough requests, maybe I can pin down Xavier or, let's see, Michael Niner, Logan Stafford, Peyton Motter, Joseph Lawls. I could probably find them in Google Classroom and interview them about what they thought of the match and what are the plans now as things move on. And you could use those as well. I'll see if I can do that, but I won't expect those just yet. But now you have all that though, you can write that story and we'll see which one's the best. And that's what we're looking for right now. We're gonna have you guys experiment with writing and see what you can produce. And again, these aren't complicated scripts. Like I said, it's about the 5-paragraph essay model. more or less. And even then, it's not that hard. If you can, if you can do that in English class, you can certainly do it for us. Okay, I think that ends everything here. Expect all this stuff to be posted very quickly, if not immediately when this video goes up. And good luck, because right now, this is a competition. You are going to choose either the wrestling story, the exciting story, and between the two, whichever one you choose, that's going to go up against everybody else that chooses that one. And the one that makes the best script is the one I'll make. Okay, so I think that covers everything. See you later.